Hi guys, so unfortunately the Splatfest demo, as you know, is now over. You can't play it anymore. If you head into the game, you literally, it's just like, thanks for playing, but you can't actually do anything. So in today's video, I thought I'd do just a little bit of a review and discussion on what I actually thought about the demo. So first, let's start off with the customization, because that was the first thing we saw. And in there, I guess there were a lot of like nice new additions. There was some more variety in the hairstyles. There wasn't as much extra as I thought there was going to be. Like, I felt like there should have been like more features in terms of like you could change facial features like your nose or something like that. And there were a couple of other things that sort of bothered me a little bit. Is you couldn't rotate the character. I know that, you know, it isn't like an RPG kind of character creation, but it would have been nice to spin them around to actually see a whole view of your character. And I guess another thing I would have liked, and I always want this, is to be able to change your ink color. Like, I know obviously you'll change ink depending on what team you're on, but I think it'd be nice when you're exploring to actually be the color that you want it to be. So I've always wanted that. So I wish they'd have added that. And I guess the other thing I did really like about the customization is Little Buddy. Obviously, I think he's going to have some sort of significance within the story. As a guide, obviously, he guided you through the tutorial. But yeah, I did enjoy that. I did like Little Buddy very, very much. So that's customization. Pretty good. I felt that they could have done a lot more, but it was still all right for what it's needed in the game. I think it was fine. So then let's move on to the tutorial. I think it was great. It was fun, and it wasn't too long. You know, some tutorials can drag on, but that was absolutely fine. Similar format to the Splatoon 2 one. I mean, what they're going to do, it's a very similar game. That, you know, the tutorial was going to be very similar. They need to give people the basics, but I think it's kind of it did seem a little quicker than the Splatoon 2 tutorial, you know, just because they know, I assume, that there's going to be a lot of players who are from Splatoon 2, so they're going to get to grips fairly quickly, and it's, you know, it's not too difficult of a game to get to grips with. The only thing really I wish they'd have done a bit more on is the new swim abilities. I did kind of miss it. I believe it is mentioned at the end of the tutorial, but it didn't really give a big emphasis on this. I don't know whether that's something that's going to be addressed in the main tutorial. You know, it's going to be a bit more extended. But yeah, that was the only thing, especially because, you know, they're kind of the new things as well. So I think that should have been mentioned a bit more. And I obviously as well, I think we forget as well that, you know, the story mode's a good way to learn how the mechanics work in Splatoon. So I imagine there's going to be a bit more explanation throughout those levels. So yes, I'm sure that will be addressed. Then we got to Splatsville, so that we got to have a look at this early on the 25th before the Splatfest actually began, and I had a good look around, and I liked the overall look and feel of it. It's got a lot of verticality, you know, and it felt quite a much bigger city than Inkopolis. You know, it actually felt like more alive, more like a fully functioning city. There was lots of areas to explore. There's loads of, loads of activities to get involved with. Obviously, we didn't get to experience these, but, you know, the game is only over a week away. So, you know, I don't blame them for not giving away everything. But I would say it did feel quite similar to Inkopolis, whilst it felt bigger and stuff. It did feel quite similar. You know, we were still in a city, and, you know, those types of things. And I think in the initial trailers for Splatoon 3, we sort of got this overlook of sort of more like a western, you know, desolate desert kind of area. And I thought that, you know, we were going to go into more sort of a suburbia, you know, suburb kind of area for it. But I think, you know, the city can feel quite similar. Obviously, it is a different style of city. I get that. But yeah, I think whilst it looks nice and I think it's great, I'm not sure I always feel like I'm in a different place all the time. But however, when we did get to the Splatfest, the Splatsville did get a complete makeover. You know, they changed the time of day, and I was really impressed by it, to be fair. The city definitely looked better at night with all the flashing lights, music, and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it then suddenly felt alive and new. It was, you know, it suddenly felt a lot different. And I also really like, there's some little touches as well, like all the player drawings that you're doing, they were all flashing neon, you know, the neon colours as well, which I thought was a nice little touch. I didn't really look around much in the during the Splatfest. I didn't really look around because I knew you couldn't really do anything anyway. And plus, we only had 12 hours to have a go at it, so, you know, I think that definitely took my priority. But let's now talk gameplay, and the first thing we got to really experience was the test range. So this is part of the lobby before you join a game, and basically you can just practice whilst you wait for a game. And as we know with Nintendo servers, this is a pretty good addition. It gave you something to do, and particularly for me, I did have some issues which I will talk about shortly. But yeah, it's great to have something to keep you occupied. It's got nice variation. There's stationary enemies, moving enemies, there's platforms. It's very condensed, I would say. I wish it was a bit larger and a bit more visually exciting. I know, it's got the test range vibe, but I feel like it would be nice if they did something a bit more creative. I think it could be a bit larger. But yeah. And the only other thing really is the copycat machine. I haven't quite worked out how that helps. Is it to test like damage a weapon does against another weapon? I don't know. I haven't quite worked that out, but I wish there were a couple of other things like that. Some other like little machines or something, just to make it feel like a bit different. And I hope it sort of gets expanded or changed as we go on. But yeah. And you can also one of the best features is you can completely, like, if you're still waiting, which you shouldn't be, up to a minute I feel okay, but you then want to get into a game, especially because the games are so short as well. You can splat the whole area, and then there's a little button in the menu that you can press to completely clean it, and it looks all shiny and new again, and then you splat it all over again. So yeah, very, very, very cool. So yeah, so that's the test range itself, but then also the lobby. So actually, whilst you're in there are a couple of cool changes and stuff. You can actually see when you've joined a team, or if you've joined friends, you can see ghosts of your teammates in the test range, which I get. It's quite nice to see them, but for some reason the ghosts aren't in real time. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just going to be, they might look like ghosts, but be in real time, and they're like low frame rate slideshow versions of them. So I don't actually know if there's any point of doing it. It really is. It just spending resources that don't really matter if you're all separately and you can't really fight or interact anyway. So I'm not sure how useful it really is. But yeah, it's a cool little feature. But the other ones really is I guess the best new feature really is to be able to create rooms. So for some reason, this Splatoon 2 you can only do this for Salmon Run, I believe. But yeah, you can actually now create a room with a code. You can now put a password on there, but it just makes it way easier for people to join you, especially for like people like me, for content creators. It just makes it way easier for you guys to join the game without having to send out loads of friends requests. And you can actually do that. You can send a notification to everybody online at once, which is really useful as well. But yeah, that's probably one of the best quality of life changes. I really enjoy that. But enough about the lobby. Let's talk about the gameplay itself. When we actually got into Splatfest and we were playing the game modes and stuff. And overall, I can't really complain at all. It ran extremely smoothly. It didn't have any visual glitches or bugs. The only thing really was the frame was a little bit low in some places in Splatfest World, but I believe that's the case anyway, because I think it's capped at 30 in sort of those areas. But then, do they get 60? I know specific Nintendo games do get. I think it did feel very smooth whilst you were in the game. I really did enjoy the new swim mechanics. They were useful. They were useful in some situations, and yeah, I think getting the jump on people, I think they're going to be really useful. And I think particularly for the pro players, it's adding that extra level of strategy and skill, that's involved to really help you out. And I really enjoyed them, and it just added to the gameplay mechanics that are already really solid. The new weapons were great as well. I enjoyed the new additions. I think the bow could have had a little bit more splash damage. So basically, you can fire this. I know there's going to be different variations of the bow, but I wish it had, like, you fire it and then the 3 arrows sort of explode, but when they explode, they don't really explode much more area, so I don't actually know the point of them. But yeah, they didn't really do much thinking, but I did enjoy them. But I enjoyed more the special weapons, as they felt a lot different, and there were some really big ones, like the obviously like the crab tank. There were lots of ones that were really different, and just felt like you got a lot of power, and that they were just really, really fun to use. I think they've done a great job on those so far. None of them I really had an issue with. None I felt like were kicking my butt or anything like that excessively. So yeah, but yeah, there's also some really good combinations. There was the little the grey, forgot what it's called. The little pistol that is matched with the tacticooler, that increases speed, and that was super useful. I really enjoyed that class. So yeah, there's already some really good combinations showing themselves. But how similar to Splatoon 2 do I feel it is? Because I know this is a discussion. There's been lots of videos on YouTube that people have been like, it's too similar. How similar do I think it is? I think it's very similar, obviously. I think it's similar, but I don't think that's bad necessarily. You know, I feel it's a bit more fast-paced. That's what I felt. I think the game is a bit faster paced. The game length could be longer, I think. I know Splatoon has always had short game modes, but I think 3 mins isn't long enough sometimes. You only just get into it and then the game ends. But yeah, I do think it is very similar, but I'm kind of glad they've not strayed too far from it. I think they could have added a little bit more. I don't know, maybe we'll see, maybe when the game's fully released and see all the other things they've added, it probably makes sense, but I'm glad they've sort of stuck to what they're good with. You know, they haven't tried to reinvent the wheel and create something that the fans aren't going to like. You know, what is here, you know, I'm pretty sure people are going to enjoy. They stick to what they're good at and those types of things. So yeah, I am confident that whilst it is similar, I think they'll have added enough and changed enough so it does feel a bit different. But yeah, I think just the overall visuals, I think the city and stuff do feel a bit too similar. But yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing. The only real main issue I did have with the game was the server issues, and that's not necessarily the game's fault, because we know what Nintendo's poopy servers are like sometimes. So that was the only thing that was bothering me. I don't know whether it was because I was streaming as well at the time, because that was when I had most of my issues. But yeah, that was the only thing that sort of killed it for me a little bit whilst I was playing. But overall, I am very impressed. I've got little gripes here and there, but there's no issues with the game itself. I understand for those who think it is a bit similar, but I think just like I've said, like I guess like with Call of Duty, they kind of do a similar thing, and I know people don't like that as well, because it can get boring. But I think we're still at a stage where people want more of the same with Splatoon 3, and I think with these extra features and quality of life changes, I think it'll really feel like a significant upgrade. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'm very much looking forward to the full release next week. So yeah, guys, but thank you ever so much for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one. Okay, thanks guys, bye.